Hey, welcome back to Python MC. I'm your Python MC coach, Richard Ashe, and in this section we're going to take what we just learned about conditionals and we're going to use it in EarSketch. Here we go. So we're just going to follow the instructions that are in the comments, and the first instruction is ask the user for input using read input in EarSketch, assign it to the variable called request. So we're going to create a variable called request. We're going to use read input. Read input is like input in standard Python. It's special for EarSketch, and what it does, it's going to create a little input box. You'll see it's going to be like a pop-up. And then the prompt is going to be choose the beat, hip hop, 80s or R&B. All right, so first one is, let's see, check to see if the value is equal to hip hop. So if request is equal to hip hop, then what is it going to do? Then if it is, then it's going to assign the beat called hip hop to the variable called clip. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So clip is the variable name, and that's going to equal hip hop. All right, let's see how that works. And so what it's referring to is up here I've got a hip hop variable called hip hop, and it's assigned to this beat, this media file. All right, so far so good, I think. The next one is check to see if the value is equal to 80s. So remember, it's if, elif, else. In this case, I'm going to go elif, request equals, and I'm just going to say 80s. And then with a colon, and then it's going to say if that's the case, then assign the beat called 80s to the variable called clip. 1, 2, 3, 4. Clip equals 80s. Now I would have called it 80s with an 8, but variables in Python can't start with numbers. Remember, they can start with letters or underscores, and you can't start it with a number. Okay, so elif request is equal to 80s. Okay, clip should be equal to this clip called 80s. Did I spell it right? I sure did. Okay, good. And then it's going to print playing the 80s beat. Okay, so that's just cleaning up my comments here, because remember, comments are a way for one coder to tell another coder what's happening in the code. And down here, I'm going to assign the beat called R&B to the variable called clip. So R&B, I'll play the R&B clip then. So see, what it's doing is it's taking input from the user, and it's going to assign the input to the variable called request. And then if request is equal to hip hop, the user inputs hip hop, then it's going to assign clip to equal hip hop. This variable called clip will equal hip hop, and it'll print playing hip hop beat. Elif, so if this is not true, then it's going to go down here. Request, if it is equal to 80s, the user inputs these characters, 80s, 80 apostrophe s, then now the variable clip will equal 80s, so the clip will equal this media file called 80s, and then it'll print playing the 80s beat. Else, so if none of these are true, it's just going to assign the clip, it's going to assign the variable clip to the value R&B. So it's going to assign, this is R&B, this is the beat, so it's going to make that beat equal to that beat by assigning clip to equal R&B. And then it's just, we're going to have track equals 1, start equals 1, end equals 20, and then it's going to fit media. It's going to take whatever the clip now equals, it's going to put it in there at track 1 at the first measure. It's going to end at 20. So this is what it's going to look like. You'll see the read input creates this pop-up where I can go hip hop. So this is a prompt to get input from the user, and then I'll just play that.
Variables, it's like a name tag.
Nice.
For loops, while loops, repeating like a music track.
Okay.
If, elif, else, checking the condition.
Okay, that worked. Let's try this with 80s. And then let's see if that works. And now you'll see that it says playing the 80s beat. I'm going to play that.
Variables, variables, it's like a name tag.
Okay, that worked. And the last one, it's going to say, choose the beat again, hip hop, 80s, or R&B. Now, because else is the last condition, like so with if else says assign R&B. So I'm going to just put R&B. Else will then, because it doesn't equal hip hop, it doesn't equal 80s, so it's automatically going to equal R&B no matter what I put in there. In that case, I actually typed in R&B. I could actually just type in gibberish. It doesn't matter because as long as it doesn't equal hip hop, and as long as it doesn't equal 80s, it's just going to play the R&B by default. So I guess I'll play the R&B then. So no matter what I put in there, if it doesn't say hip hop or 80s, it's automatically going to play R&B. So here we go. Let's go and play it, and then here we go.
Variables, variables, it's like a name tag.
There we go.
For loops, wow.
Our code's working. Get into it. Have fun, mix around with it, and we'll see you again on Python MC.